Hello, and welcome to Raven's Eye. In this video, we'll be exploring comparing your variables. Raven's Eye easily and efficiently lets you make comparisons of patterns in your data, which we call GEIS. One way of doing this is by selecting the Variables button in the menu bar. When you click on the Variables button to select it, a drop-down box appears. In this box are folder icons representing each column that you previously classified as a variable. Clicking on the plus icon next to the folder will reveal the differing states or classes of variables that were present in the data comprising that column. Clicking on the minus icon next to the folder will collapse the folder. To compare the change in response patterns associated with these differing states or classes of variables, select one or more of them by clicking in the adjacent box. Navigate to the bottom of the drop-down menu and click Update button. In a matter of seconds, a new table of results will replace the main table. We call this table the subsample comparisons table, and it is described as the following. Every time you select a state or class of particular variable, that state or class is treated as a subsample of your larger sample. All of the responses associated with this state or class are pooled together and compared to the pooled responses associated with every other non-selected state or class of the particular variable. If you select more than one state or class of a variable, the selected states and classes will be pooled together to form your subsample, while the remaining non-selected states or classes will be pooled together to form the comparison pool. If you select specific states or classes in more than one variable, then the responses from those cases that match the state or class of each and every selected variable independently will be pooled together as your subsample. This is helpful for distinguishing patterns associated with the presence of multiple variables, such as response patterns associated with multiple experimental conditions or those who meet multiple demographic characteristics. You can remove your selections at any time by clicking each checkmark box again. The checkmark disappears when you do so, and you then click the Update button located at the bottom, and data analysis will change in a few mere seconds. If you leave your project or sign out of Raven's Eye with variables selected, their selection will be retained in your project the next time you access it. If you would like to restart your analysis anew, please remember to either remove your selections before leaving your project, remove them after reopening your project, or upload your data anew. Let's talk about the subsample comparisons table. If you have selected a specific variable value to compare to another, such as men compared to women, your results are displayed in 8 columns. This new table is comprised of all of the 5 columns from the main table, plus 3 additional columns have been added. The 3 new columns appear interspersed between the 5 previously described columns of the main table. The subsample comparisons table will, by default, arrange data according to the proportion of the subsample that each word comprises. Columns can be resorted by clicking on the title. The first column is entitled Word. This column lists each and every word in your data set. It is the same as the first column in the main table, though it now prioritizes by each word's proportion in the subsample. The second column, Number Sample, identifies the number of times that each specific word is found in your subsample. The Number Sample, the third column, identifies the number of times that each specific word is found in the remainder of the sample that's not included in your subsample. It's calculated the same way as the second column in the main table. The fourth column, Percent Subsample, identifies the proportion of the subsample accounted for by each and every word in the subsample. It is converted to percent. By default, this column orders all of the data presented in the table. It is arranged in descending order. The fifth column, percent sample, identifies the proportion of the non-selected portion of your sample accounted for by each and every word used in it. It's converted to percent. It is calculated the same as the third column in the main table. The sixth column, percent corpus, identifies the proportion of the comparison corpus accounted for by each and every word in the subsample. It's again converted to percent. It is calculated the same way as the fourth column in the main table. The seventh column, variable overrepresentation. This is the quotient of the fourth column divided by the fifth column and represents the degree to which each given word is overrepresented in your subsample, based on the proportion of that given word in the remainder of your sample. As the value in this column approaches 1.0, the more the word is used in the subsample at the same rate that is found in the remainder of the sample and is not then particularly associated with this state or class of your variable. The more the value exceeds 1.0 in this column, the relatively more overrepresented the word is in your subsample. Given adequate sample size and representativeness, high degrees of overrepresentation indicate that a word is highly associated with some aspect of the state or class of the variable that you have selected to define your subsample as compared to the rest of your sample. The eighth column, overrepresentation. Overrepresentation is the quotient of the fourth column divided by the sixth column, and it represents the degree to which each given word is overrepresented in your subsample, based on the proportion of that given word in the comparison corpus. As the value in this column approaches 1.0, the more the word is used in the subsample at the same rate that is found in the corpus and is not then particularly associated with this state or class of your variable. The more the value exceeds 1.0 in this column, the relatively more overrepresented the word is in your subsample. Given adequate sample size and representativeness, high degrees of overrepresentation indicate that a word is highly associated with some aspect of the state or class of the variable you have selected to define your subsample as compared to the background corpus. As discussed in the video Understanding Your Results, the numbers found in the variable overrepresentation and overrepresentation columns also serve as estimations of confidence. While overrepresentation continues to refer to the relative proportionality of the word in the subsample compared to its proportionality in the background corpus, variable overrepresentation instead compares the subsample proportionality of the word to its proportionality in the remaining portion of the sample.